Hi, welcome to the Ultralock Bolt launch event. Many of you have come from different places. I see some familiar faces in the audience, have traveled across the country, but I know many of you have come from different places. We do appreciate your showing up. Today's launch event is not only about announcing some new exciting smart locks, but it's also about understanding who UTEC is, some of the things that you may not know about the company, as they have some very interesting strategies in the smart home space. So we're excited to have you, and we thank you for coming. My name is Mark Vina. I'm the founder, CEO, and principal analyst at Smart Tech Research. I cover the the smart home category, among other technology categories, and I've been covering UTEC and Ultralock for some time, and it's an interesting company, to say the least. They've got tremendous technology in the space. They've been quite successful, obviously, from a sales standpoint. We'll get into that in a second. But it's an interesting company, and I'm really glad to be associated with them and helping them oversee this event today. So today's agenda, we're trying to keep it relatively short and sweet and not bore people with slides. I'm going to do a quick overview of UTEC. Then we'll have Jeff Pouliot. Did I pronounce it properly, Jeff? Nailed it. I nailed it. We'll do a quick overview of the new products that are being announced. Then what we're going to do is something very interesting. We're going to have a robust panel discussion on different aspects of the smart lock experience, both from a product standpoint, a user standpoint. We want to get some feedback from, what are the masses saying about smart locks, and we've got some good representation there. But we also want to talk about it from a business standpoint as well, because smart locks increasingly are becoming an interesting solution to manage properties in an Airbnb kind of configuration. Not to be outdone, we're going to have some fun activities after the panel discussion where you can win some valuable prizes. So that will be up after that, and then we'll have and I know people are waiting for this right now, we'll have some nice cocktails at the reception portion. So corporate overview, real quick, I'll run through these slides here as it comes up. There we go. For those of you who don't know, UTEC is a leading technology company in smart home security and automation solutions. And this is the interesting piece of data that many of you may not know. They've already kind of accrued 1 million users, 600,000 families, and the company already has 200 plus patents on a global basis. So this is not your kind of, how shall I characterize it? They're not a lightweight organization in the smart home group. And it's a company that has really kind of burst on the scene in the last several years. So they really bring a lot of interesting technology, but they've had a significant amount of success already. If you go onto Amazon, for example, they average over 4.2 stars on the products they sell, which is pretty remarkable for anything in the smart home category. And they've done some great review activity, which we'll talk about in a moment. So very clearly, UTEC and Ultralock, as an extension of the SmartLock brand, they have a very specific mission. They want to revolutionize everyday products for an easier and more secure life. What that really means is it's not just about offering the technology that does a lot of interesting things. It's really about doing it in a very easy, what I like to call a friction-free experience, whether it's at the technology level or the product level, at the installation level, really at the app level is really important about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's really creating an easier to manage lifestyle from a home security standpoint. They have a very wide range of brands. Their Bright and Ulticam offerings are relatively new. They've been on the market now for about 2 months or so. So they're obviously recognized that smart lights are becoming a very important part of the smart home. Obviously, exterior cameras are becoming a big deal. And they've got a very expansive line of smart locks, which many of you are already familiar with. They also want to drive, this is marketing language here, a vertically integrated ultimate user experience. And what that means is they want to be able to provide the capability across the hardware and the software to make sure that the user has the best possible experience. Because if you don't have that really easy to use experience, you won't take advantage of many of the features that come with a smart lock. And you could extend, of course, that to smart lights and even cameras as well. But it's very, very important that the ease of use experience is incredibly, again, friction-free. When you look at it from a capability standpoint, from the idea, design, hardware development, app development, which is obviously crucial, the uCloud, which is their ability to store data in the cloud, so you have a very edge-based experience with these products, and production capabilities. They're really a vertically integrated company. I mean, they really don't depend on many authority resources outside of sales, for example, with retail and the other venues that they take. They really control the entire stack. And I think that's really important, because only if you control the entire stack, and there's a certain company in Cupertino that we'll talk about that all. I see some shakings of head. It's amazing what you can do from a customer standpoint when you control the entire experience from a hardware and a software and a design standpoint in terms of the kind of capabilities that you could bring to the market. Now, one thing we're not going to talk a little bit about, more stuff is coming down the road about this. Obviously, they've got a very strong reputation in the reliability standpoint. But from a community standpoint, from a safety standpoint, there are things that UTech is working on that they want to be able to provide and support the same type of principles that other companies in the technology space are offering. So whether it's about community safety, whether it's about using these products to make sure that data is is protected in a very secure way, UTech and the UTech parent of companies is really committed to that principle, and there'll be more details about that coming down the road. Let's talk about core technologies. Again, I'm not going to go through the entire slide here. I talked about the cloud. IoT security obviously is very important in these smart home products. The average smart home now today has upwards of 20, 25, 30, 40 products in the home, and these products have to be secure. A lot of the products that are on the market, they're very easy to break into from a hacking standpoint, and there's obviously capabilities that UTech builds in their ultra locks that really prevent against that. They've got more than 20 years. If you look at the fabric of the company, they've got more than 20 years of IoT experience. They're very much a standards-based organization with support behind Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, Thread, Matter. We'll probably talk about Matter during the panel discussion. That's becoming a much more important part of the smart home experience. So they're really about a standards organization. They're really not about creating their own standards. They like to support the industry standards that are already out there. They've got over 100 R&D employees, so this is not a small companies. Core algorithms for biometrics, because biometrics is becoming a very important part of coming up with a very easy experience to open up a smart lock. And one thing that's becoming much more important, because I can't give a presentation in Silicon Valley without using the two magic letters, AI. And to quote a famous politician, AI stands for artificial intelligence. I'm looking at a friend of mine in the audience, and he gets that joke later. But AI is becoming much more important. You know, AI will ultimately make the smart home a much more intuitive experience than the one that exists today, that can anticipate many of the things that you want to do in a very safe and secure manner. Innovation, UTech is all about that. And if you look at the configuration of the organization, the company since 2015, they've achieved a number of firsts. And again, I won't go through this ad nauseum, but this is not a company that really rests on its laurels. It's always looking for ways to bring new technology to market from an innovation standpoint. Just recently with these new bright smart lights and smart security cameras with the Ulticam brand. Drive a thoroughly connected and seamless single app user experience. Now, the research will tell you, and I don't care where you get the research from, users want to have a single app to control their entire smart home experience. They are not into the let's have 5, 10, 15 apps on a smartphone and manage different parts of the smart home experience. They want everything managed through a single app. And the company has really kind of got to that strategy really actually several years ago. And everything that they're doing is with a single app in mind. And as you can see, from an ecosystem standpoint, they have now a complete line of products that really touches just about every facet of the typical smart home. And it's very much an ecosystem-based type of approach. One app for all, I mentioned that before. We'll scan through that. I hope you've played with their app. I assume most of you have, because you've actually played with their products. It's a very intuitive app. It's very easy to use. Not to say that some people may have to revert to YouTube videos or other things to do certain things, but in my opinion, it's much more one of the better usability-based type of apps on the market. And from a technology standpoint, there's so many different capabilities and features. The discoverability of those features is becoming very important, because if you can't find what the feature will do, you're probably not going to use the app. So from a general usability standpoint, I think they've done a very, very nice job with approaching things from an app standpoint. And as you know, as you can see up here, they obviously have a presence on the Apple App Store and the Google App Store as well. We talked about partnerships. Obviously they've had compatibility with Alexa. It works with SmartThings, Google, Apple Home, Apple HomeKey. We're going to talk about that in a couple of moments. Matter is becoming a big deal. I'll just kind of editorialize on Matter for a second. Matter is a very, very important thing. Everybody knows that at some point, Matter is going to kick in and really going to have a pretty important effect on the smart home in terms of streamlining it and making it easier to use. One of the unheralded features of Matter is that Matter requires, for you to have a Matter compliant device, it has to support a minimum amount of security that's embedded in the product. So that's a really good thing. I think everybody agrees. So Matter will become a much bigger thing. It's compatible. They're compatible with Z-Wave and IFTTT. So really, they've touched all the right bases in terms of creating an experience that really provides compatible products that work with just about everything. So that's about it. That's the brand. Let me bring up Jeff Pouliot for a quick overview.